Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of this will be in the video.
Sweet.
Let's get one thing straight from the very beginning of this video. Breaking Benjamin is not a band that is looking to innovate or change their sound too much or really explore new territories that they haven't really gone to before. Breaking Benjamin is one of those bands that you know what kind of album you're going to get from them. It's going to be the same kind of radio rock, hard rock kind of album that you get every time from them. They used to be a little more innovative back in the old days of like Saturate and We Are Not Alone, but nowadays, and pretty much anything after that, starting with Phobia was kind of a little more safe in playing along with the trends of the radio rock of 2006 when that album came out. So they've kind of been doing that thing ever since then. Then you've had Dear Agony and Dark Before Dawn, and then now we're here. And it's still the same kind of thing. The only major change that I can say for sure right from the get-go from Dark Before Dawn is this album is definitely heavier than the last one that they did. This is a very good thing because I felt that was something that was lacking from the last album. They needed that heavier sound. They don't have a lot of variety in their sound. You know what Breaking Benjamin sounds like, you know? It's just another 10 or so Breaking Benjamin songs every time you get an album from them. So when they mostly take away one core element of their sound, you know, all throughout their catalog they've had, you know, a heavier, leaning towards that hard rock sound that they've had. It kind of took it away a lot on Dark Before Dawn. Fortunately, it's back on this one. So right from, you know, just a couple of tracks in, you immediately get that feeling that, okay, this is a little bit more of the Breaking Benjamin of old that I was used to, that has that more gritty sound with the harsher vocals and things like that I was used to couple albums ago, you know? So it was a very welcome change to hear that come back. All that being said, I'm not trying to pick on Breaking Benjamin for what they do. They have a set idea that they want to do, and they do it. They're not trying to innovate the sound, they're trying to just be Breaking Benjamin, which at this point, let's be honest, is literally like what sets them apart from other bands is Benjamin Burnley's vocals. He is one of the most talented vocalists in this industry, in this genre today. I can say that for 100% fact that it is my opinion. But seriously, like he's very good at what he does. He's good at the harsh vocals, and he's good at the soft melodic vocals, and he's good at weaving in and out of the two, using them back and forth, going from one to the other. Sometimes when they feel like writing a new melody, which we'll get to that in a second, but some of the melodies that they do on this album are great because they do go from one thing to another real quick, showing off Benjamin's good vocal range that he's got. He's good at the harsh vocals and he's good at the soft ones, and his melodic vocals can be very soft and set a tone. The same with his harsh vocals whenever, you know, they want to go a little bit harder and use some of those heavier guitar tones that they do. There is a track on here though that is for the most part piano actually. And his voice goes along well with that too. So his range can be, you know, where it needs to be. He's literally the saving grace of this album. If you put a different vocalist on this album, it would probably not be good. Like, That's one of my major problems with this album. The music really cannot stand up on its own and be anything special. It's really and truly nothing special. This is honestly one of the most uninspired albums that I've ever heard as far as the music goes. Trust me, you've heard these riffs, you've heard these melodies, a lot of these melodies. You've heard all this stuff before. It's really nothing new in the slightest. The thing that saves this album from being just sucking horribly is Benjamin's vocals, and it's a huge difference maker. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that this is a bad album. What I'm saying is, without him, it probably would be. But because he is the singer of Breaking Benjamin, this album is still good and worth listening to. Right off the bat, right from the very beginning, we get into my favorite track on the album. Lyra, the little opening music thing, leads into Feed the Wolf. Feed the Wolf, so far from, I've listened to the album 4 or 5 times, is my favorite track on the album. Not for any special reason other than I just like the melodies that they came up with for it, I suppose. What I was talking about earlier about going, what Benjamin goes from his harsh vocals to his softer melodic vocals is well on display in this opening track of Feed the Wolf. That it's my favorite on the album. It's just a good display of my favorite things about Benjamin's vocals. Red Cold River we actually talked about on this channel, and you're probably familiar with because it was the lead single for this album. That's the next track that comes up here. These are not deep songs on this album. You really need no more than like 2 listens of this thing to be familiar with every track, because there's not a lot of depth to the music. That is a double-edged sword there. On the one hand, you know, it is fun to get used to the songs quick and know them and be able to sing along and to know, oh, you know, I know this melody, I know how this part goes because I've heard it once or twice. Breaking Benjamin makes it easy to get used to the songs quickly. That said, the replay value goes down quite a bit at that point. You know, if you're not somebody who is enjoys going over songs again and again to hear, oh, you know, I never heard that other guitar's melody playing right there. Oh, I never heard that bass part that I maybe didn't hear before. Well, that drum fill, I didn't catch that, you know, the first couple of listens. If that's not really your thing, then this should be right up your alley, because you can get used to these songs quickly and, you know, enjoy everything about them in just a couple of listens. Not a lot surprised me from this album. There wasn't a lot of times where I couldn't make a very good guess as to what was coming next, you know? That just comes from their songwriting style, and the fact that I've been listening to Breaking Benjamin for a long time. It becomes kind of easy to, you know, figure out what's coming next from them. There was a couple of times, including especially with the song The Dark in You, that I honestly didn't see coming, and that was a pleasant surprise for that song to come up. It's not a great song, but it slows the album down, you know, and it's a nice change of pace to what we've been hearing, you know. Even the track before that was a song called Psycho that has this nice chugging, heavy riff to it, and it's, you know, it's that heavy side of Breaking Benjamin for quite a bit of the song. And then you get to something like this, and it is nice to have the album take a turn for a calmer side to it, so that the whole thing is not just one long, you know, expected Breaking Benjamin song after another. This was nice to hear them take it down a notch, if that makes sense. A lot of the tracks on the second half of the album are not even really worth talking about. You know, they're just kind of typical Breaking Benjamin songs that you have come to be used to if you've been listening since Dear Agony, I would say. On that one and Dark Before Dawn, if you've heard those albums, you already know what this part of the album is going to sound like. Some of these songs are good, and I do like them, but, you know, I don't need to explain them to you because you have heard them before. It is your typical Breaking Benjamin sound that I have explained earlier in the video that it's expected. It's just expected is all it is. I don't think that this album is bad per se. I don't think that it's very good either. So I can't score it very highly based on that. The big Breaking Benjamin fan side of me is what's going to fuel me to listen to this album in the future. But if I'm ranking it based on music and what it brings to the table for hard rock music, if I'm being fair, it really doesn't do a whole lot for that. If you're a Breaking Benjamin fan, by all means, you will probably enjoy this, unless you stopped listening at like We Are Not Alone. Then you may not. But if you kept following after that and made it to Phobia and especially Dear Agony, you will probably enjoy this album. So I do recommend it if you enjoyed those albums that I just mentioned. I've got a new scoring system for the channel. I'm going to start using a lettering system where the worst score you can get is F-, and you know what kind of albums are an F-, and the best ranking is an S. Breaking Benjamin's latest effort is going to get a B-, and I think that's perfectly fair for what they've given us. Ember is another good effort, and I am happy with it. And if this is the kind of stuff we get from Breaking Benjamin from now on, I guess I'll be happy with it. I would like to see them try to go outside of their comfort zone a little bit on the next one, you know? But hey, it probably won't happen, to be honest with you. So Breaking Benjamin fans, just be happy with this one. Just get used to it. This is probably what you're going to get from now on from the band. So learn to enjoy it. And that's it for this one. If you don't subscribe, I will literally kill you. That's all I have left.